I want to show you how you can make very easy grungy backgrounds with the material, with the supplies that you already own. So let's do it. Hi everyone, my name is Mary Lou and this is Create Junk Journals with Mary Lou. So what I want to do is I want to make grungy backgrounds like this with a brown paper bag. And of course it's going to look a little bit darker, but I think it is going to work really nicely for what I have in mind. So let's just try it. Sometimes you just need to find things that are easier to come by than drywall tape or something like that. Something that you may already have in your house, and so that's what I want to do. So I'm going to zoom you all the way into my glass plate. And I didn't polish it up. It is a little grungy, but that's okay. It's going to get even worse. What do I have for supplies? I have water. I have 2 Distress Oxide sprays. I have 2 Distress inks. But I also have 2 Distress re-inkers because I want to see which one works the best at doing this. Then I have 2 dilution sprays, and I do not have a brown one, so I am working with just 2 green ones. And I have some Lindy's Stamp Gang sprays. So I have 2 flat Plano, 2 flat Fabios, sorry, and 1 Moon Shadow Mist. And so I just want to see what it is going to do. And this will be like soft colors. So they'll all look a little bit different. And then I have infusions. And the infusions, I have also 2 green ones. I have the Sage and the Emerald Isle. Infusions are just an explosion of color. We'll just say that. So let's just get this, let's get started. I've cut 1/2 of a paper bag into strips. If I decide later that I want to do more, then I can do more. But I have a whole bunch of different strips here that I can use. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different kinds of material. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to cut this, well, I'm going to tear it in half actually. And then I can do a couple of experiments. There we go. So let's do this. The other thing that I have is I have some wax. This is from an Easter egg die kit. And so like I tried this and it works. I also have some wax melts, and this smells like coffee, so it smells really good. And the 2 will work. I'm also using my heat gun. So I am going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is use my, like the wax from the Easter eggs. And I'm just going to scribble on this piece of brown paper bag. And I'm just going all over it. There we go. Then I want to use my Distress ink. And I'm using walnut stain. And I'm just putting some on my glass plate. And I'm using some crushed olive. And I'm also putting that on my glass plate. Then I am spraying this down with water until it is, you can see the color is moving now. And then I'm just taking this and I am going to dip it in here. And I want to pretty much soak up as much of the color as I possibly can. I'm doing it on both sides. One side will look completely different from the other side, but that's okay. Okay, and I've got my cloth here, so I'm just going to wipe this up because I'm only doing one strip of each kind of medium. So what I'm doing is grabbing my heat gun and I'm just going to dry this. So you can see this turned somewhat grungy and it turned a little crispier than what the paper was originally. But that's where we're at. So that is by using your ink pads. So I'm going to write that on the back here so that I remember which one was which. So this is ink pads. That's one. Then I want to do the exact same thing, but with re-inkers. And I think we're going to get a little bit more color than what we did with the ink pads, because the re-inkers are of course much more concentrated color than what the ink pads are. So I'm doing the exact same thing, adding some water to it, and I'm taking the other piece of brown paper bag and I'm doing the same thing. I am just going to scribble all over this. There. And then I am dipping it into the ink. And you can already see how much more color you get on your plate. And the inks I'm using are crushed olive again and vintage photo because I don't have a walnut stain re-inker. Okay, so that's fine. I'm going to dry this and re-ink it on what I have left there. I just want the water spot. I want it to be grungy and spotty, so that's why I am using it again to pick up some ink. And it will do it. It just, you know, like this is really just something that you can play at, you can practice and do it over and over again. So this is what you get when you dip it with the Distress re-inkers. So you can see the difference, like very similar colors, and the difference is extraordinary. So I'll write on the back here that this was with the re-inkers. And I will put them both aside. And let's wipe this up. And then we're going to take the Distress Oxide sprays. I don't have Distress inks, and that's why I'm using Distress Oxides. And I also want to use the wax melt. So just to see what happens instead. And you know what else? I think I may want to crumple this paper up. I am just trying to see which ones I like the best. Okay, then I am shaking my oxide sprays. And I'm just spraying a little bit on my mat. Just one spray each. And you can see how much color that gives. And then I am going over it with water. Water is going to activate the oxide part, and it is also making the color move easier. So I'm just dipping it into the color. And it will do something totally different from the other ones. There we go. And I'm going to dry it, and then we'll do another coat. So you can see like what it did with one coat. So now I'm just going to dip it in again and give it that little bit of extra. And let's dry that again. And you can honestly do this as often as you want. So I can dip this right in there again and just pick up just a little bit more. And I can put a little bit more water in there, make it oxidize just a little bit extra. Let's see what it does. So I definitely like this a lot. It looks nice and grungy, and yeah, this is perfect for what I use in my journals. And I didn't do anything with the backside. I can, but I'm just going to let it dry on its own then. So I'll just put a little bit on there, and I don't have to put any, I don't have to tell myself that this is oxides. I know that it is. So I'll just let this dry on its own, and I will wipe this up too. So this is the oxides compared to the re-inkers and compared to the ink pads. So you can see that there's quite a bit of difference in color, even though, like, yes, this is, no, these two are identical colors. So this is crushed olive and vintage photo distress oxide sprays, and this is crushed olive and vintage photo re-inkers, and the colors are different. And that is probably because these have lots more pigment in it, because that's for the ink, for re-inking the ink pads, and this is watered down a little bit. But you know what, I like this way better than that. And then the ink pads you can almost not see. So that was the distress inks. Now I am going to the messy stuff. So I am going to use a vibrant turquoise and a fresh lime from dilutions. And I don't use my dilutions very often, and I should. I just love dilutions. So I'm going to give this a good rubbing with the wax melt. And I forgot to wrinkle it up. Let's wrinkle it up. There we go. And then we'll go over it with the wax melt. And I'm really just kind of rubbing all over, that doesn't mean that the ink, that the wax is going everywhere. There we go. I am going to start with the darkest. And with the dilution spray, I'm kind of spraying to the top. Ooh. And then I am using a little water to make it move. There. And then I'm doing the same with the lighter one. Maybe not this one. Let me grab a different one. Whoops. There it was. Okay, now let's make this move. So it needs a lot more water than what the Distress inks do. But let's get it to move. And you can see right away that it is moving different than oxide sprays. It just does something completely different because it's a different product. And I am also covered in ink now, which is not unusual and definitely nothing unheard of. So I'm just going to dry this and we'll see what it comes out of it. So this is really cool too. I don't think I've ever seen dilutions behave like this. So that definitely has something to do with the wax melt being on it. And I gotta tell you, when you're heating this up, it smells really good because I have coffee. Yeah, it smells like coffee. But I really like that. How beautiful is that to use as a background or a snippet or something like that? So that is the dilutions. And I'm just going to put them back on top of there and put the lids on. I obviously lost the lid somewhere. And then I'll just spray some water on here. And I'm going to grab a little bit of cheesecloth because that is a lovely thing to color. As well. So I just want to use this up and not waste any of the ink. And you can see like there was still lots of ink on there. And now I have some beautiful colored cheesecloth. So I'm kind of catching a couple of things at once here by creating dyed cheesecloth and by creating cool backgrounds. Where's my other cloth? I'll just go and wipe this off. I may grab some more cheesecloth to clean after, but we'll see for now what happens. There we go. All right, Lindy's. Now Lindy's is, I don't use them often enough, you guys. Like, these are so beautiful. So I have 2 flat planos, and one is Greased Lightning Green, and the other one is South Shore Sand. The South Shore Sand I don't think is going to show up very well on here. But then I also have a Treasure Island Aqua, and that is going to show up. But this has a little bit of a shimmer to it, where these do not. So this is a Moonshadow Mist. I am going to do the same thing, and I'm going to crumple it up first. Let's do that first, because that definitely gave me some really cool effects. There we go. And then I'm going over it with the melts, and I like using this better than that crayon. So I may have to try the other ones again later. and see if it gives different effects with the a little bit heavier wax. There we go. And I'm going to start with the green. Okay. And I'm going to put on the South Shore sand. And you think right now that it is going to show. I am not adding water. These are a little bit different from the other ones, so you don't want to, I don't want to add water. You can, but I don't want to do that just yet. I want to get the spot. It's a very quick and easy way to get some grunge to your paper. I really like that. So that is these two. I am not going over that with the Moonshadow Mist because I'm going to tell you that that would be a waste. So I'm going to crumple this up again. And do it again because I want some serious crumples in this one. There. And then I'm going over it with the wax melt. Okay. And then I'm just shaking it up so that it picks up the mica powders that are on the bottom of the bottle. And you can see those mica powders right there. Oh, that looks absolutely amazing. You can see it on the camera. That is yummy. I'm going to grab another paper because I don't want to waste that beautiful mica. So I'm going to crumple this up. And I'm just kind of mopping it up with my paper. And you can see probably how I'm spreading it around. So now I am going to add a little bit of water here so that I can mop up a little bit more. I don't want to waste any of this because I can't get it anymore. And that's why I am using it as cheaply as I possibly can. My goodness, this is so gorgeous. I don't think I've usually used this on white paper and I've never seen it do this. So I am super excited right now. And I'll show you, I'll show a little piece of white paper what it does. Like you can see it, but it's not nearly as colorful as when you are doing that right here and right here. These are so beautiful. I'm just mopping up my mica powders. All right, let's dry it and see what happened. So this is the one that I just crumpled up and then mopped up all the Moonshadow Mist spray, and I think that's lovely. But look at this one. Oh, look at that shimmer and shine. And you can see where, I'm trying to get the light, where the crumples were, because there is no mica powder there. It just didn't even come anywhere near it. So that is, yeah, I am thrilled with this. That is a beautiful outcome. I'm going to say that I was not expecting that at all. And I know there's lots more on here, but you know, let's just wipe it up. Oh, it's beautiful. The moon shadow mists are absolutely some of my favorites, and I've never seen it do that. So I need to do, I'll probably, after I am done with the video, I'll play with that for a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to crumple this up again. And I'll take two because they are both completely different colors. Now, you have seen me play with my infusions before because I love the infusions. So I'm really crinkling this up well. And I need to crinkle this one up just a little bit better too. There we go. And then I'm going to go over it with the wax. And it kind of smooths out the paper too when you go over it with the wax. But what it does is it kind of, the wax kind of goes mostly onto the, where the crinkles are. It's kind of neat how it just automatically does that. And even when you're going over it like this, even though I am covering the whole paper, doesn't mean that the whole paper is covered in wax. Alrighty. Well, do I want to spray water first? Yeah, no. I want to do the infusions first. And you won't be able to see very much here until I spray it with water. So I've got tons on here. And that was Emerald Isle. And then I am going to do the same thing with the sage and put lots on it because I want the color explosion on here. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready for what is going to happen? I am going to zoom you in so you get the full effect. Okay, this is the Emerald Isle. Okay. And I'm just going to move it to the bottom, and then I am going to spray the sage. And these have, so I'm just letting it sit for a moment because it has micro crystals of walnut ink in here. And so the longer you let this sit and stay, the colors pop out, and the walnut stain will, or the walnut ink will come out, and I can see it going, move around. It is looking really cool, actually. So maybe put a little bit more water right here. I can really saturate this, and then once I start drying it, it just starts doing what it needs to do. So I think I can start drying it. And as usual, the infusions do not disappoint. Look at both of these. How stunning. This is the sage, and I just love using this. You can see all the different colors that are in there. It has a green undertone, but it has all the different color in there. And then of course you can see the grungy part from the walnut ink. So yeah, as always, this is my absolute favorite. And then Emerald Isle, you can see all the veins here too from where the paper was crinkled, and it just did something absolutely stunning. So I am not sure which one I like the best. Well, I do. I like these two a lot. They are wonderful, and I am going to play with that a little bit more. Because who doesn't want to have papers like this in their stash? This was the Lindy's Stamp Gang Flat Planos, and that is also just beautiful. It looks a little mossy. Then we have the Moon Shadow Mist. And look at that. Oh. Yeah, I have a few other Moon Shadow Mists, and I may have to try them out. And we have the Dilutions, which is also beautiful. I really like it. I actually like everything that has come out of today's project. Then this is the ink pads, and that is the most subtle of all of them so far. This is the oxides. And this is the re-inkers. Let me put it like this so you can see it a little bit better. And I'll zoom you out. There we go. Now you can see what we've got going on. So just having these in my stash and being able to just take a piece and use it in a cluster, or use it as a, like, who doesn't want to put a pocket like this somewhere? And yeah, so I want to have a stash of these, and you know, play with your stuff, see what it can do, and sometimes it surprises you. I was expecting it to go a little bit more like this, and this is what has come out of it. And that is totally not what I was expecting. I love the dilutions. I'm going to play with those again some more. And I want to play with the infusions. But I am the least impressed with the Distress inks and with the Distress oxides. They just didn't perform as I thought they would. So I am not going to play with those anymore. I'm not wasting my time with that. These are good for white paper to get this to happen, but they are not great for on brown paper bags. But this stuff is. Ooh, I am going to play with the rest of them, and yeah, it'll be a wonderful Sunday for me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because now of course you're going to want to see how I'm going to use these. And if you are trying something like this with your products and you're getting something different out of it, find me. I want to see, because I am always trying something new, and you know, I get inspired by other people as well. This is lovely. I'm kind of in awe. Um, I have played with these things so many times and I've never gotten results like this, and that's why I am in awe. So I'm going to play, and I'm going to say goodbye for today. Uh, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and happy Easter. Bye!